Good evening, West Ham. Welcome back to the West Ham Network. I'm Anton. This is a late. It's been a while, isn't it? It's been a while. It's 11:30. Well past my bedtime. Used to bring you the late show quite a lot back in the old days. But having a third child, it's changed that quite a lot. But anyway, I'm bringing it to you now because I felt like it was important to do it. I was going to wait till tomorrow to do it, but I thought, no, do you know what? I'm going to give you some live reactions from the player awards. Now, if you didn't know, the West Ham Player Awards of 21-22 took place this evening, and they were at the Grosvenor Hotel in London. Now, if any of you have never been before, at Park Lane, I went in the final year of the last season at Upton Park, the Bowen year, and I had a great time. It was a birthday present for my dad and myself, my brother, a couple of my brother-in-laws, and my dad went down to London and we done the player awards. And honestly, it was a fantastic experience. We got to mingle with the players. I understand it's a lot of money. I get that. But you know, we had planned this for my dad's special occasion. So family and friends all kind of put together and we all went down and done it. And mingling with the players was really special because they just really came, you know, and spoke to the fans and made you feel really special. I got to mingle with Mark Noble. I got to mingle with, at the time, with Dimitri Payet. Slaven Bilic was the manager, all that sort of stuff. So it was really, really good. Now, I do know since the years have taken place, since I've been to that one back in 2016, things have slightly changed. Now, I don't know what it was like tonight, but I don't know if the players were allowed to mingle as much as what they were back when I went to the Player Awards the last time round. But listen, it's a lot of money. If you ever get the chance to go, enjoy it. It's good. It's a little bit, I was going to say it's a little something back for you, but you do pay a fortune to do it. But the whole reason for the player awards is, of course, giving something back to the players for what they've done this season in particular. And many years we've gone by when we've done these player awards and players have walked out with awards and we've not had a great season. I remember one year in particular, I think we got relegated and I think Scott Parker picked up Hammer of the Year. Can't remember the exact year of that, but it just shows you that, you know, sometimes these are not, you know, it's tough to do the player awards when you're having a crap season, but when it's a good season, it's totally worthwhile doing them. So there's so much to get through. It is a late show. I'm going to start by going into the event and the evening in itself, and we'll go through the player awards and who got what at what stage as well. But first up, David Moyes came up to the stage, and it was a massive standing ovation for Mr. Moyes. I mean, considering what he has done for our club, and he has done a lot for our club, and I know people will turn around and go, has he though? I mean, what could have been if this, if that? But we've got to take into consideration exactly where we were to what we are doing right now. So he stood up, and the first thing he spoke about was the team season. He said, "I'm really fortunate that I've been given a really good group of players, and we've added to it on the journey. The response we showed after a huge disappointment was fantastic. They put it behind them well, and truly, we've got other things to fight for now. A good chance for Europe, and that's what we want again. For long periods of the season, I wanted to make the Champions League, but this time last year, we were fighting for European football. We saw it as another step. The players got it this year, and the players have done incredibly. From the first game in Zagreb to the whole way through the tournament, they have been fantastic." And I completely agree with absolutely everything he says. It's so bloody true. It has been a fantastic season. I'm so proud. I really am. I'm always proud to be a West Ham fan, but This season, you feel like people who never normally would have spoken to you in the street about this beautiful club that we've gone through all the trials and tribulations with, all the ups, all the downs, more downs than ups. It's deserved, and you want something in return for that, but you can't. But you can only really believe what he says in front of you as well. So yeah, completely see where he is coming from. I'm going to jump into the chat, see who's kicking about as well. Declan Rice from Hammers Bakes. Terry, hope you're well, mate. What a man. He is a good man. Mandy says Dex did what Dex does and deserved the award, but for me, I'd have given it to Dawson for his performances when Oggy and Zuma were out. I agree with that, Mandy. I do agree with that to a certain extent. I always find, though, sometimes that when you've got your best player performing at the best level, and he's won the award before, that we always turn around and try and find someone else, but he was top notch and has been top notch this season. Dex will win many more awards, but Dawson at 31 won't. No, I get that. I get that. Mikey's in the house. Hope you're well, mate. Good to see you. Glad you are joining us. Hope you are keeping well. Who would have thought, Mikey, as well? You know, going back to us playing Genk in the group stages, meeting you for the first time, and look at the journey West Ham have been on as well. Roger Wilson, I used to watch West Ham in England, captain in the 60s. Now I'll be able to do it all over again this season, like older in the 20s. Dick deserves every accolade that comes his way. Absolutely. Hammers Bakes, I'm so happy with all the awards. Bowen, Dawson, Johnson, all recognised. Special team. Completely true. Budgie, you're in the house. Hope you're well, mate. Good to see you too. Gaza's in there. Could anyone still doubt the work he put into the squad? You'd have to be mental not to see the improvement, right? I'd not agree with you 100%. Gaza's in the house. Hope you're well. James Bong, and you are in there as well. So let me move on to the next slide, which was David Moyes' favourite game. And of course, I think we all know we're going to pick it out. For me, it was the home game against Sevilla. The players knew how important it was. Sevilla were the best team in the tournament. And I think the way we executed playing a certain game, we knew we would take it to extra time. It was nearly planned the whole way through. But that night, I thought we were fantastic. We never gave up on the energy they showed from start to finish. And it was an incredible atmosphere from start to finish. It absolutely was. It was electric. It was unbelievable. The fans stepped up. And I think that's something I've mentioned. I mentioned it the other day as well in the stream. I feel like having the European experience has really given the fan base a buzz. You know, from the I need to sit down and work out how many games I've been to this season. But from every game that I've gone to, it's definitely escalated. And I think maybe it's a bounce back from obviously not being able to get to the games during the COVID times as well. And that's had a negative impact on the West Ham fans getting in. And now we're back in, you know, going back to the Leicester game when we had the first full crowd back in there, electric atmosphere. Sevilla, electric atmosphere. And then even at Norwich away at the weekend, electric atmosphere. Everyone was top notch, amazing. It was fantastic. It was great. Brilliant, and long may that continue. Long may that continue. So I agree with Moyes. Sevilla has to be probably one of the games up there as well. He then goes on and talks about his memories, and he said, we've learned on the road this season. The first half of the season, we did such a good job, but I remember in pre-season when we went away and we didn't have all the players back. We beat Celtic 6-2, and we didn't lose a game in pre-season. I thought it was going to take some team to beat us. We had Liverpool, Chelsea, and Tottenham at home, and we showed that the first half of the season we played so well, and it's so true. But sometimes you worry when you do have a good preseason, and we did, and we took the games on the chin. You know, we dealt with it. We done well. We played well, and you don't know how that's going to move on throughout the season. But for me, the biggest point here now is that we've consecutively played well for 2 seasons on the trot. And we have, and that's huge for West Ham. And now we're bloody chasing Europe again for the second season in a row. And for people in the chat who are here, they'll all agree with me. Like, they'll all say it as well. It's not very often you see that in your West Ham career. Now, listen, it is late. It is late. So I'm going to, I'll throw the link in. There you go. And if anyone is interested in joining, they're more than welcome to do that as well. So I'll put that in the chat just now. If you are interested in joining, you're more than welcome to join me in the chat. So I've put the link in there for you as well. I'm going to move through though to the next part, and David Moyes goes on and talks about the players. He says, we're really lucky that we've had an incredible leader behind the scenes. If you don't have someone looking after the dressing room and making sure things are done right, you know who I'm talking about. We've got another group of players behind who are all learning. It really has been a privilege to coach them and manage them, and they've been a fantastic group of players, and they have, and you can see it. I'm repeating everything that everyone says, everyone hears about. you always see this camaraderie between the players and the squad and the backroom staff and you name it, it's there with an abundance, and it's amazing to see. It can actually sometimes, that small squad mentality, because their mentality is so positive and in the right frame of mind, you can't help but think that that's like having another couple of players in the squad. I don't doubt, and I will always say it, don't doubt we need to add. Of course, we need to add in the summer, but you can absolutely see that this is a special bunch of players, and that's probably why he needs to be very mindful of the fact of who he brings in moving forward. I'm going to bring first guest on, though. It's Budgie. Budgie boy, how you doing, mate? You all right?
Good evening, Anton. I'm fine, thank you, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I hope you're well. Budgie has got his own YouTube channel. If anyone doesn't know that, Green Street Elites, go across, check it out, hit that cheeky subscribe button for Budgie boy. Budgie, player awards, mate. I mentioned it right at the start. I understand that people are mindful of, it's a lot of money to go to these events. I get that. Yeah. I'm completely aware of that. And I do think that it should be paid back to the fan base in some way or another without them having to pay. However, yeah. I did go to it back in 2016, and my experience, Budgie, of it was phenomenal. I had one of the best nights ever. Yeah. And as did my dad. And just seeing it again tonight just brought back really nice memories. And it's always good to go to these events when you're coming off the back of a good season.
Yeah.
So what's your kind of brief thoughts on them?
Well, actually, I have got a bit of an idea about that, but I'm reluctant to say anything at the moment in case I can move something with it. I mean, you kind of cemented me to actually try and get this. I'll discuss it with you off air.
There you go. We'll have a chat with that.
My thought is that it would be lovely to bring it to the fan base,
yeah,
in one way, shape, or another, and it would be kind of like payback to all of the guys and girls that make the effort to come to the stadium or to go to the away games. I mean, look, you look at like Richard Cox and young Jake. I mean, they travelled up from Somerset to come to the home games, and they go past London and go up north to the away games and stuff. And it's just some way. I think it would be a nice way of paying back those of us that do that. That's
absolutely. You know what? It's amazing. We've got such an amazing fan base. Like you said, you've named them. They're traveling. I mean, listen, when I was at the Frankfurt, was it the Lyon game or the Frankfurt game? It was the Frankfurt game. I bumped into American people who had flew over for the game, who just flew over for the game, and it's mental to think. It's funny that the focal point for us fan base is the club, West Ham. When I make that journey, and it's not about me, I'm just using that as an example. When I make that journey, it's a long day and it costs money. That money that it's costing is before you get to the stadium to spend your normal money. And it's but you're doing it for the one reason, for the love of the Claret and Blue, the love of the Hammers, the love of West Ham. And it's mad how and it's nice, Budgie, isn't it? It's nice to actually sit here, think about the last 24 months of football and actually be positive.
It's really, really nice to be able to say that West Ham are a team that get noticed now, not for being cannon fodder, but for being a feared team. Like, look how cagey Liverpool were when we went to Anfield. I mean, a 1-0 result shows how well we did. So, we beat them at home. So, and a similar story with Chelsea, so we've come a long, long way in those 24 months, Anton. And, you have to thank, obviously, David Moyes and the coaching staff for that. And you also have to admire the drive and determination of the guys that go out there week after week, kicking we speak about the camaraderie in the club, which it's not just on the field. That goes right through to, the coaching staff and the management and everything.
And it really is, and that's what Moyes is saying here. He's saying we're really lucky that we've got an incredible leader behind the scenes, and I think that's really benefited West Ham, particularly with Mark Noble, who has been behind the scenes, with Declan Rice, who's been on the field. But like you said, it goes back to the coaches. We're talking about the coaches in terms of Kevin Nolan, an ex-West Ham captain who is very vocal on the sidelines, that has that positive impact on things, and all the rest of the coaching staff. But you can see it, Budgie, mate. You can totally see it. With an inch of the eye, and it's really nice to see. It was really nice to see. But I've got loads more to go through, so let me jump through Mark Noble, because he then stepped up next in the player awards ceremony, and he had a few things he wanted to say. So he was asked about his feelings, and listen, he was given the biggest standing ovation that you can possibly imagine, and I think there was several tears running down his eyes, and I've got an image of that as well, which is, you would when you bleed claret and blue and have played for your club. So he was asked about his feelings, and he said, "Thank you, by the way. It's obviously emotional. I've been at this club longer than I haven't. I joined at 11 and had an incredible time. And as we all know, some ups and downs. But before you start the questions, I think after the season we've had as players and a group of staff, I'm going to get emotional now. I think we should all stand up and congratulate the staff and the players for what they've done this year." And I think that's just that's just a pure and utter captain, a guy that loves this club, who leads from the front line. And I love that. I love that. And then he moves on.
He rows the boat and sinks with it, and rises with it.
Yeah.
A true captain in every sense.
Yeah, absolutely. He goes on and talks about the last two seasons, and he says, "I'm incredibly proud. When you grow up a West Ham fan, sometimes you have to really roll up your socks and go again. For me, the last 2 years, not playing as much, but being able to share the time with the boys has been amazing." And that is everything that we say week in and week out, Budgie. It's true. Again, I put it to you, put it to everyone in the chat. Think about the last time West Ham had 2 consecutive seasons performing at a high standard. That's where people start to put the ifs and buts about it, though, don't they? They say, well, if you brought this player in, if you did that, if you did this, you did that, it would change it.
You've got to admire the season and last season for what they are and what they have been. You can't keep dwelling on what if.
Yeah.
My dad always told me that those 2 words should never be put together.
Yeah.
And I've kind of subscribed to that. I am guilty of saying, but what if we did? And I am guilty of doing that, as probably we all are. But putting all of the what ifs and the maybes and so on and that aside, we've never had 2 back-to-back seasons as we've got currently. I'm probably one of the few people that, alive that actually can remember when we had 2 reasonably decent seasons when we finished in the top 10 back to back. But that
hold that thought, Budgie, though. Hold that thought, because the person I'm about to bring on, the stream will join you in that. And it's Kieran.
Morning, chaps. How are we?
Kieran, hope you're well, mate. Good to talk again, and I think it's the first time on this channel, is it, Kieran?
I think it might be, Anton. Yeah, I think it might be. I've talked to you on other things, haven't I? And it's my debut with Anton. And
we'll keep it clean, otherwise it'll be your last.
No, but we're just obviously going through, the fact of the matter of West Ham having 2 consecutive good seasons, Kieran. And Budgie was just telling me there, in his lifetime, and I thought it was perfect to bring you on because I know you know each other from the past and all that sort of stuff. And speaking to my dad as well, it's true though, isn't it? It's true. Like there's not many you can think of in the head.
We never do it, mate. We never do it. And this is something I've always said about being an older West Ham fan. We've always lacked consistency. Always. We've always had a great season followed by a relegation battle or a mediocre one. We never get 2 seasons in a row where we're still competing at the top and finishing in the top 10. Now, obviously, this season, the worst we could ever do is 8th. And that's still and a semi-final of a European competition. It's a bloody good season.
Yeah.
8th, the only problem with 8th is it's a disappointing ending to that season.
Yeah.
But if you take it in concept
But
of the
easy
2
though,
seasons,
Kieran,
it's been
really.
fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
But it
Yeah.
shows, you know, I think what it does though is it shows you that, or it highlights how important this summer is. I go back to, I've mentioned it several times before. I go back to the last season at Upton Park. We moved stadiums. It was such a vital transfer window. We didn't maximize that transfer window, and we missed that boat. Now we felt like every transfer window has been important since then, but this one is probably, if not trumps that one, because you can actually see, for like you said, like we've said, 2 years in a row we've been performing. So this is the one where we need to make the step again, because if we don't make it now, from 2016 to 2022, we can drop back again, and we don't want to be doing that. And
quite easily, and really, because we are going to be in a team in transition to a point, because we can more or less name 4 or 5 players, in that squad that's thin, that we're going to lose at the end of the year. So the amount of players we've got to sort of bring in to stand still is probably at least 5. So it is important.
That David Moyes is very shrewd, David Moyes, and you can guarantee at least 2 of them will be either free signing or loan deals. I think Jesse Lingard is still on the cards, and remember how good we felt when he was here on loan.
Absolutely.
So that would be almost like having, it would be like having an old friend back, but we know what he's capable of giving us.
Yeah,
and that's that extra dimension that we've missed this season, I believe.
Absolutely, and I think that if he even genuinely gave us half of what he gave us the last time, that would still make things better. I'm not talking about half of the performance, but yeah, I mean like half in terms of the goals and assists that he contributed to the team. But let me move on to what Mark Noble went on to say. He spoke about his early days at the club. He said, I think I've done that, didn't I? I joined at 11. I remember my first day at Chadwell Heath. I was at Arsenal before that. We couldn't get there in time, and West Ham were clearly wanted me from a young age. I never looked back. When you're a supporter of the club and you get to play for West Ham and you get to captain the club you support, you can honestly say I've lived everyone's dream in here that you have, Skipper, that you have. I mean, could you just picture yourself as a kid? The dreams of walking out at Upton Park, the new stadium, London Stadium.
Can you imagine, Angela, being a supporter like we all are, to actually be able to play for West Ham? I remember do you remember, Anton, you may have not, at Upton Park, it was traditional, the last game of the season, where you were all allowed on the pitch and to celebrate and, stand in front of the chairman's box, and the team would come out and you'd applaud them and all that. Just getting on that pitch then for that. And I remember having a plastic bottle, booing it into the South Bank goal. I thought I'd scored.
And you're calling yourself the hero you supported at the time. Yeah, it's like my little boy now. He kicks the ball and he's like, Antonio.
So what Noble's achieved? What a dream come true. What a dream! Fantastic.
It really is.
Yeah, when I was a young lad playing football, I used to play for the local teams and stuff, and I always used to try and get into the team that played in Claret and Blue. There were probably 2 or 3 of them. And it was only purely because I just felt closer to the club I support,
Yeah.
But like Kieran said, getting onto the pitch on the last game of the season, it was a bit of a special moment,
Yeah.
It was nice to share it with 30,000 other people that were like-minded. It was great.
Of course,
it was never damaged. It was always treated with respect.
Yeah. It's funny actually you say that, because last season at Upton Park, I was down a lot. My eldest son, he was born 7 weeks old when I was at the last game at Upton Park. The next day I went on the tour of the stadium, which a lot of people didn't think to do, but I was one of the fortunate people that managed to get booked in, took my wife and my son there. And my son was asking me loads of questions about why West Ham, this new stadium. And I said, do you know what, Freddie, I've actually put you on the grass at Upton Park. And he was laughing his head off going, what? And I lay him down at 7 weeks old on the grass. Not just never left him. I held him on the grass. And at the time, the pitch guy was working the groundsman, and he was like, off the grass, off the grass. And I felt like saying to him at the time, and I was never going to challenge it, I felt like saying, well, there's no more games here. Like, it doesn't matter anymore. Yeah. But for me, it's the memory of saying to Freddie, who has no idea about Upton Park, that he's touched the Upton Park, you know, the grass and stuff. But it's amazing. But let me jump into Mark Noble's speech. Oh God, that's tiny. I'll have to. I don't know if anyone can read that, but I'll try and read it out for you. I'll put it on the full screen. He said, when you're a young kid and you get brought into the first team, you only really get a certain amount of time before you make it, or you have to go elsewhere. Football's a harsh game, and as a young player, you have some severe ups and downs. But if you're a young player and you come over and you work hard and you've got enough quality, at some point you earn enough respect from the first team players, and all of a sudden the manager and staff see that. I've seen that happen with the young players we get, Declan, Jono, and the boys, the young boys this year, and it's a real tough barrier to break in as a young player. Alan Pardew brought me into it, gave me a debut and believed in me. Once you become a first-team player, it gets harder because you don't have the leeway of being a young player anymore. You have to earn your respect, and thankfully I've done that. I've been here 18 years and played under 9 or 10 managers and with a host of different players, but I can honestly say the last 2 years for me, we haven't had the biggest squad, but what we have had is the team spirit and a group of players who go out on a Saturday afternoon and play and really work hard for the team. That's all we ask for as West Ham fans. I mean, I don't see that as just talk. It's just pure and utter truth, isn't it? And the one thing I remember about Declan is playoff final. Bobby's Moore scores the goal against Preston, yeah, and he's running into the crowd, and Declan Rice is Mark Noble's on the sidelines with the substitute bib on, and he's jumping all over Bobby Zamora. He was like properly a fan, but he was on the sidelines. And that was the kind of first you started to see of Mr. Mark Noble. But
I think that's the thing with Mark Noble. First and foremost, he is a fan.
Yeah.
You know, and secondly, he's, you know, the player, the club captain, and the hero, legend, however you wish to label him, that he is. But first and foremost, he's a West Ham fan. Yeah. You know, as he said in the earlier statement, he was at Arsenal first. West Ham wanted him, and he was keen to go. So, you know, that tells you the whole story, really. Yeah. In my opinion. Yep, you know, and on the subject of Mark Noble, I've actually managed to secure myself a ticket for the City game, and I'm only 6 rows back.
Oh, yes, Budge. Well, listen, I'll see you there. Budgie, I'll see you there, mate. I'll see you there.
Right, I'll make a point of it. Yeah. I missed you at the Frankfurt game. I was so...
No,
God, I was everywhere.
It's fine. I had the little man.
Guys from the States and everything. Yeah.
I met a few of them as well. I met Franco as well, so bumped into him and stuff.
Right.
Let me go on. No, he talks about his top 3 moments. He says, my 3 would be my first goal against Spurs, the last ever game at the Bowen, and that was very special for everyone, and beating the big teams at the start of the season. That created a new history and memories at our new stadium that young kids who hadn't seen the Bowen ground. So to create new memories like we have done this season, the Europa League games have been incredibly special, and it's been an amazing roller coaster. We're gutted we fell short in the semi-final, but we want to qualify for Europe in the next 2 games. But, you know, when I think about those top 3 moments, they're quite a lot of people, fans' top 3 moments, really, aren't they? They're not just his. They're a lot of our top 3 moments. I mean, he's been so vital in his career. I still think Mark Noble's got it in him to do some form of a job, even as a player. Like a bit part player, like 10, 15 minutes at the end. You know, I understand why he's retiring. I get it. But for me, I see why, you know, if he plays in a more forward role, if he doesn't need to use his legs as much. Kieran, what do you think?
Yeah, but I don't know whether it's a playing role, but my God, he would be important in the backroom staff, wouldn't he?
Oh, you know, huge.
You really would. You'd have no one else. I mean, if you've got the likes of, you know, you've got Moyes and you've got Pearce and that Nolan. My God, it's a great backroom staff. And if he's part of that, I'd love to see it. Whether that's on offer to him or he prefers to do maybe other things before he'll eventually come back to West Ham, I don't know. But I think it'd be a great addition to the backroom staff we've got. And I can imagine him motivating the team before a game, you know, and inspiring the young lads. I think it'd be a fantastic. I hope he does. I hope he has some kind of role to play for West Ham.
Would you think, Budge?
Yeah, I think it needs to be, more than an ambassadorial role. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because he's already a part of the backroom staff. He already motivates the team before they go out. He congratulates or commiserates with them. He feels every single pain every single one of them feel. He kicks every ball they kick and head. He is Mr. West Ham. We say it quite flippantly, really, these days, but he truly is.
Yeah.
And he will always be. And West Ham will always have a place for him.
Yeah.
If they know what's good for them anyway.
Absolutely. Well, he goes on and talks about his future. And he says here, I think I owe it to my kids and my wife to go and have a holiday because you don't get many summer holidays when you play in football. No. My kids are 12 and 13, so I owe it to them to have a holiday. We'll see. Hopefully my name will live long at West Ham. It will. And obviously everybody knows that my love for the club and West Ham, I owe it to myself to have a break because when you're a West Ham fan and captain, it becomes stressful. I owe it to myself to do that, but I'll have to have a conversation with the manager. He's made it clear to me that I'm always welcome back. I'll go away, have a few months holiday and see where we go. It's going to be hard. I'm sure I'll come back and see the boys, but I can assure you on a Saturday afternoon, I won't be sitting on a beach. I'll be watching West Ham. I mean, I think that is, he won't want to walk away from West. He can't walk away from West Ham, can he?
No. Well, I hope not. Anton, you've got to remember, Anton, what we love about Noble, I think, is that he's suffered every down that we have as fans. Right, and he's enjoyed every up that we have. He's lived the same as time as us, and we've suffered a bit more than you, Anton. But he's had all the ups and downs as a fan and a player. So he is so integral to West Ham at the moment, and long may it continue. And I think West Ham have gone to that route with bringing in ex-players to keep that West Ham feel about it, with Konchesky now taking over the women's team, and all the most
Jimmy
of the backroom
Walker, you've got Demba Ba kicking about, you've got all these players there kicking about, and it is definitely.
And I think that's the way to go, mate. I mean, that's the way to go. And
Jack mate's in the house. Jack, sorry, good to see you, mate. Hope you're well. Fornals for Ham of the Year next year. I can see it. I mean, listen, I don't know if anyone saw. Did you see the pre-interview he did with BT Sports ahead of the away Frankfurt game? He and the presenter went into a pie mash shop and he was trying pie mash and liquor. It was hilarious.
He said, I don't think I'm ready to try the jelly deal yet.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it was quality. Absolutely brilliant from him. He just lives and breathes the club. He's someone who comes in to West Ham and understands the culture. He's someone, Pablo Fornals, and I know this is about everyone, but I just want to talk about Pablo Fornals for a minute. He's someone that when you are trying to sign a player, depending on what league they're from around the world, you want Pablo Fornals there because he has embraced the culture. He's embraced the country. He's embraced the club. He's understood the history. He's willing to do things. He mixes really well with the squad. He's good friends with Antonio. He goes out for cycles. He's a family man. He puts his little kid in West Ham strips. He got the fans on his side, and he would probably make me, as a player who would never have thought of signing for West Ham before, probably want to sign for West Ham because he's like so.
How many players have you seen in press conferences singing one of our chants?
Yeah. Shows you done it.
Yeah, I think that with that, Anton, embrace it. If you look at all the players we really remember, say from the 80s in the FA Cup winning team, you look at Alvin Martin, the Scouser. He embraced it. Now everyone loves him and remembers as a legend as such. Ray Stewart came in, Mark Wall. They all embraced it and were successful at West Ham and done really well and were loved. Yeah. And I think that's what everyone else
did exactly that too.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. Noble on his recent years, he said, in truth, what I think has happened in the last 2 seasons, credit to the players and to the staff who work tirelessly here. The manager doesn't let the staff home early in the evenings. What they've done in the last 2 seasons together as a club and as a football team, we've brought back the West Ham community. The last 2 seasons have brought this football club together, and that is so important. The away support we've had in Europe has been phenomenal, and the home support has been incredible. And that's, talking about the community, the fan base, the West Ham fan base, if you rewind, and we all rewind back to, and I'm not going to go about the negativity, but you couldn't see a way out after Burnley at home when we had the protests, and it was all gathering momentum, and you couldn't really see a way out. But in actual fact, we had someone who could see a way out, and his name was David Moyes. And David Moyes has instilled a discipline. You know, when I listen, I'll ask you this question, but I'm bringing up my dad in this equation because when we got rid of Moyes the first time around, my dad was like, "Why are we getting rid of someone like him?
Yeah,
why?"
Same. And I was exactly like that.
But my mindset was a bit in the middle because there was an element of naivety of being a little bit younger. But there was also a little bit of dad tradition in there. So my head was all over the shop. I was like, well, if he goes, that's fine because we'll get someone in big who'll spend some big money. But what Moyes has done to me is changed my opinion on how transfers and football is played. Actually, he's actually changed my footballing thinking. Yeah. And I didn't think a manager would do that to me.
It's more of a traditional way of thinking, Anton. You know, I mean, David Moyes runs West Ham similarly to a lot of managers used to do in the sort of like 70s, 80s and 90s, you know, before all this mega money was around. You know, the managers were quite careful about who they signed and stuff like. Very rarely did anybody go out and sign a massive, expensive flop. You know, we did 3 in one period.
Yeah,
you know, and it was just. And that was quite a torrid time for us, really. And like your dad, you know, the day, you know, David Moyes was dismissed and they announced Pellegrini, my head was in my hand going, why? You know, and people were saying, but he's won the Premier League, mate. And I'm saying, yeah, with somebody else's squad.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't credit him for that Premier League win. And I also was justified in the way he ran us into the ground.
He also lost it against Leicester City with that same squad. You know, so that's how I looked at it. I didn't want Pellegrini. More so, look, if Moyes come in and done a job for us, you know, if it's a decision to, you know, not renew it, then fair enough, that's down to GSB, right? They could have been right if they'd brought in the right manager, but as soon as they said Pellegrini, I would have had Moyes back in a heartbeat. I went, no, I didn't want him myself, and that's not hindsight. That's how I felt at the time. I didn't want him, but I would have,
you know, credit and taking away anyone's opinion on anything at the top level of West Ham. The credit is that we go back, you know, with crap in our face, understand we've made a mistake. We could bring him back. He decides to come back, which is also a big decision for him. And I'll never forget it. And I mentioned it the other day in a stream. 2 seasons in a row, West Ham have come to St Andrews in Scotland for pre-season training. So I went up the first time, but didn't do any recordings. It was the second time I'd done recordings, but the first time I went up, it was during COVID, so there was like really strict regulations, etc. But we were there and we got to see them train, and it was really cool to watch them. But David Moyes done an interview at St Andrews, and during that interview, the questions he was asked was about what do you want to develop at this squad? What do you want to do here? And everything he said he's wanting to do, he is kind of slowly but surely ticking that box. Now, this is why this transfer window becomes so important, because he's talking about youth, young international players, young, vibrant players coming through. We've got players out of contract. We've got an aging specific players in an aging position. So it's so vital now that he gets involved and finds the players that he wants, which I personally think he has, guys. I do, because I think that the last couple of transfer windows we've been there or thereabouts.
We've not heard a lot from Rob Newman, so perhaps he's been busy grabbing a list together, you know.
Like to think so. We brought him in for a reason, and that is to scout, identify. So I'm hoping he's got a book that big for Moyes to say, look, mate, these are the players you want. I mean, he must be doing something. So hopefully it's all lined up already, what we're going for. I hope we're not going to the last week of the transfer window again.
No. Early, get it in early, solidify that squad.
Get it in early.
I think that's what's key, and I think that's what's key for Moyes as well. Bringing in anyone early to solidify that squad unity. That's what we need, is that squad unity to continue.
Yeah. And have a pre-season as well.
Yeah.
And, have a pre-season with the team.
Yeah.
That's important for me.
But that squad unity though can kind of take an average player and make them very good. Very, very good. This is interesting though from Jack, mate. Pablo asked the club for lessons on the history of West Ham and wanted to know why Upton Park was so special. They gave him that after training lessons. For anyone that doesn't know, Jack works for the club, so he's got a bit of the inside knowledge there. So that's lovely to hear.
That's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Really cool to hear.
We kind of feel justified in calling him the Spanish Cockney now, really, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Nice to have a Spanish player who's so passionate about us. I love watching him against Norwich. He has to be seen live to be appreciated. Completely agree.
Yeah.
Paul Evans, Super David Moyes. You boys are speaking a lot of sense tonight. What are we saying about Vlasic? We'll come on to him. We will come on to him. I've got more to go through with the player awards, so we'll definitely come on to him. Adam Cook, we should never have got rid of Moyes the first time. T-Boo is saying, nice to see you, Kieran. Come on, you Irons.
T-Boo, there you go, mate. And Steve Trevor, he's been for ages.
There you go. So it's time to get on to the player awards. Now, the first award that was given, which is an award that I've always been a bit confused about, which is the top goal scorer award, because 9 times out of 10 over the last few seasons, we've got players that are there or thereabouts challenging each other. So you can't give it out because there's still 2 or 3 games to go. Yeah. So they decided to give they decided to share the award tonight, apparently. But leading the way just now is Jared Bowen, of course. So yeah, that was the first one. So we'll move on from that one. Save of the season was the first kind of major one.
I know what one that is.
The save, isn't it?
Yeah.
It kept it in the time.
It was Fabianski from Watkins, Aston Villa away. Fabianski, Kieran Tierney, Arsenal away. Areola against Southampton away. Alfonso Areola against El Nesri, Sevilla at home. And Alfonso Areola against Lyon away. But the winner was, of course, like you said, Budgie and Kieran, Areola v Sevilla. I mean, Budgie, mate, you said it. He kept us in it.
I think without that save, we're going out. I really do. That would have changed everything. And
I think that save alone has got to be worth the £11 million transfer fee.
Yeah.
That one save alone, you know. To me, that gave him hero status. I mean, it was incredible. Never seen a save like it, you know.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I completely agree with you. I mean, it was equally as important as a goal.
More so,
that save. Yeah, more so. Yeah, it really was. And,
right in the game.
Yeah, it was the fact it was such a good save, but also what it meant to save it as well, because you could have seen them maybe getting a bit of momentum from getting a goal as well.
That's exactly what I was talking about. You know, the importance of the save is just as it's up there with the first goal.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely
without a doubt, Budge, because that put us 2-0 down, didn't it? You've got to remember, we had to get to extra time before we scored a second goal. To me, that goes in, we were out.
Yeah,
we don't come back from that. And that's how important that save was. It really was an amazing save. And I've always said I'm a great believer in goalkeepers, really good make saves that win you points. And I think, I believe Everton would already be down now if it weren't for Pickford. Whatever you think of him, the saves he's pulled out, we could have won them points that's got them where they are now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think they'd be relegated. So that kind of save, it's so important to pull them off. I don't think Fabianski pulls off enough of them over a season. That saves he shouldn't make. Yeah. But I think Areola is a bit more athletic and can. And I hope, if we do keep him and sign him, I hope we see a lot more of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just want to address this comment here from Jack. Keep up the great content, guys. Been an interesting listen tonight. A lot of sense spoken. Thank you very much. And what a kind donation. And I'll make sure I get something to you, Kieran, and we'll definitely get something to you, Budgie. When we meet up, I'll buy us a big what's it called, a picture. There you go. We'll get a picture in, mate. That's what we'll do. All right. So yeah, no, thanks very much for that, Jack. Really kind of you, mate. Hammer Bakes is saying, got to be Areola, Seville, amazing. And again, just let me reiterate about Terry and Hammer's Bakes. If you haven't checked him out already, go across to Twitter, check out Hammer's Bakes. Making a good go of his own business. Looks quality. I still need to order it, Terry. I will. I just haven't had a minute. We'll get onto it. And I don't know if we can get it shipped out to Australia. Let us know if we can get some stuff shipped out to Australia, because if we can, we'll make it work. But I don't know what the rules and regulations are about sending grub out there.
I actually spoke to him on Twitter the other day, and I said to him about my channel, and I've actually created just a little sort of 20-second promotional video with his contact details on. So,
brilliant, good.
Yeah,
there you go.
I'm going to be playing that on every video I do now. So
cool. There you go. Yeah. There you go, Terry, mate. There you go.
And it's royalty-free music.
Like gold dust. Yeah. Right. The next award for the evening is your individual performance. So before you go for it, I'll give you the rundown. Fabianski, sorry, it wasn't for the. I'm trying to see if they've given us a. No, they didn't. No. So the question to you is then, what was the individual performance of the season? But I know might know I don't know if you know the result, but.
I don't.
This is making this interesting, and this is good.
Yeah, I've deliberately not looked at them because I was waiting for your stream to start.
All right, okay.
You go first, Bud.
Oh, thanks, mate. Cheers. Okay, so individual performance. Ooh.
I'm not going to give you individual games. I'm going to bring you players into the equation. So we'll talk about very briefly Antonio's start to the season, Declan Rice throughout the season. We can talk about specific saves that players have made. We can talk about Dawson's rise to the central defence. We can talk about Lanzini's rise into the midfield as well. Yeah. Just giving you little hints and tips there.
Okay.
Hammers Bakes, shout out to Budgie. Thanks again, mate. You're a legend. And Hammers Bakes is saying I can ship out to Australia. Minimum spend 250 quid.
It's a long way to come, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
What? That cake, I suppose it'll last, will it, in the box?
I'm sure he'll shrink wrap it for you.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Yeah.
So individual performance. What are we? We're talking about individual player performance. Yeah. I think it's probably got to be Declan Rice throughout the season. I mean, he's just improved with every game. God.
Well, I'm going to give you a hint. It's a particular
Seville at home.
It's a player who played in the Europa League away from home. One player away from home in the Europa League against Lyon.
Oh.
So I'll bring it to the forefront. I'll bring it here. You ready? There he is. Craig Dawson.
Brilliant. He got an award. I'm so delighted for him.
He didn't just block 6 shots, and he made 6 clearances in that game, but he capped off that display with a near post header to take us on the road to victory. And you know what? I mean, Craig Dawson deservedly got an award tonight. And I'm delighted for him. And do you know what? I think he was a little bit like Marmite for a while. You either like him and you don't. But I just love his story. And I think that story is the thing that takes it through, isn't it? 2 million quid. No one thought he would be a West Ham player after that. And now look at him. He's like number one.
Our eyebrows were well and truly raised when we brought him.
When we started him, we're going, why?
We've gone backwards. We've gone backwards to the old days. Bringing in
why did we sign him? And now we're saying, why didn't we sign him before?
Yeah.
You know,
What a signing that's been.
He's become the
pound
best.
for pound, that's the best signing we've ever made, I reckon.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It's a good shout there, Kieran, mate. I think that is a good shout, to be honest. Pound for pound. I love that. That's a good one. That is a good one. Pound for pound, the best signing we've made. That's quality. Do you know what?
I'm just delighted he got more, because he's never going to win Hammer of the Year, is he? But his effort and his work rate and just non-stop, 100% a player. Good old school centre half. I love him.
And do you know what? When we lost
to his craft, that's what it is.
And we lost Winston Reid, we lost Ginger Pelly, and they were two big losses for us. And we never ever brought someone in who was capable of doing what they did, because they were. I understand for a certain while there was an element of fear that Dawson would make a mistake. I get that every now and then, but this season and this season particularly, though, we stepped away from that more, and he's
well, I'll tell you what my theory is on that, Anton. I was gutted when Ogbonna went down, because I think he was being superb for us at the time, and I really thought it was a massive loss. And I believe Dawson stepped up, and we haven't suffered the loss as much because of Dawson. He stepped up to the plate, where even before that, he was always due an odd mistake during the game. He seemed to cut most of that out. Yeah. And, generally, it's always going to be a mistake here and there.
I think that's possibly partially thanks to the coaching that he's received since he's been with us, I mean, we know that, the change of coaching, the approach that the coaches take towards your training can change the way you play your game. I've known,
Was there an award?
Benefited, and so we all have,
Yeah.
Was there an award for who bled the most on the pitch between him and Suchek?
I tell you what, though, the amount of injuries to his face that Suchek took this season, and every single, my wife was watching a game once, and she was like, "What happened to his face?" And I was like, "You don't understand. It's happened to him for like 3 or 4 weeks in a row. Every time like an elbow caught him, it seemed to cut open his head. Every time a finger touched his nose, it bled." But then recently, Dawson was bloody breaking his nose every 2 minutes.
Yeah, well, I know. His nose seemed to get in the way of everything, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. James Ball is saying, Ballon Dawson, not bad for someone who will only ever be a championship player. Our league position is in large part due to Dawson. Yeah, absolutely. Let me move on, though. There's so many players we can talk about. But the Dylan Tombides Award, and that's given annually to the Academy of Football's Outstanding Scholar. There was 3 players up for the award, and that was Sonny Perkins, who we saw make the transition into the first team. He played a couple of games, first team games appearances, I should say. Michael Forbes, an under-18 player, who started to make his way up into the under-23s, and Freddie Potts, son of the legend Steve Potts. And the winner went to Mr. Sonny Perkins. Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, he started the season with a hat-trick for the under-18s, and he made the jump up into the under-23s. He made his debut away to in the Europa League with against Rapid Vienna. He scored 13 goals in 27 appearances at under-23 levels this season, as well as netting 4 goals in 5 games for the under-18s. So, when he came on against Vienna, I don't know if you remember it, but when he came on, he was the header, but he was a solid lad. He looked big. He looked like he didn't look lightweight. He looked really, really solid. He looked like a
place at all.
No, not at all.
No, in stature or in ability, I felt he blended in really well on that game.
Yeah.
Well, he should suit Moyes. He's another converted midfielder, isn't he? So,
yeah,
it would suit Moyes. He was a midfielder before last season, and they put him up front.
Yeah,
and he scored. If he's scoring 1 and 2, then he's doing well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll jump on to the next award, and that's the Players Project Award. It was launched in 2018. It's the most ambitious and integrated community program. So it's all about what the players do in the community, and that went to Mark Noble. And I think that was probably the right decision. We have seen what he does for the local area, what he talks about. He's a local lad, and he does a lot. So fair play, Mark Noble got got kind of looked after tonight, which is pretty cool as well. And the next one,
it's the longevity of his project as well. And he's been doing it years.
Yeah.
Yeah, we probably don't see the half of it, Budge.
No,
I
don't think we do. I actually think, within reason, I think there's an element that our social media team at the club should really shout out a lot more about what the players do that you see a lot of other clubs doing. And I feel like we miss a trick there. It'd be nice to see like the visits that players maybe do to schools or to local families, or just having a little bit more chin wag chats. And for me, it's
that are in hospital, stuff like that.
Just anything like that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Next up was the Women's Hammer of the Year. Now, this is something that we're thinking of doing for next season. I think probably loads of people are thinking the same. So the women's football team, West Ham, lots of people are interested in it. What are you going to say, Budgie? You got something you want to add to that?
I just have an idea of who it might be. That's all.
So, I think we're going to try and bring you a little bit more content on the women's team. Fair play to Newcastle. I don't know if you saw, but they've been breaking the record week in and week out since they've been taken over. I think they're now up to like 28,000 fans watching the women's team at St. James's Park. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's making headways. It's getting noticed. And I actually watched a little bit of
That's
the Arsenal.
bigger than Brentford's home ground.
Mad, isn't it? Mad. Yeah, it's good.
Amazing.
It's good though. It's good. Absolutely. So over to you then, Bud. You do you know it?
Well, I've got an idea. It could be Yui Hatagawa.
Nope.
I'm probably not right.
I'd give it to the best looking one. So it's no good asking me.
Well. Other news that came out was that Jill Flaherty is actually leaving the West Ham women's team at the end of the season, so she'll be gone. But she wasn't up for the award, but the award went to Kate Longhurst.
Of course,
yeah. So she's featured in all 22 of the Barclays FA Women's Super League matches this season, scoring in the 1-1 draw against Tottenham back in January. And this was part of her celebration. She went wild in that celebration.
Is that the header against Tottenham?
Yeah,
mate. I've got a short video of that. Love it.
Yeah. So fair play and congratulations to Kate as well. Next up was goal of the season, one I get excited about. So I'll give you the ones that they put up for contention. Okay, put the ones up for contention. Declan Rice against Dinamo Zagreb away from home. That was the one where he was like celebrating and doing that to the badge, to the fans who were stuck up in the gods of Zagreb. Ben Rama versus Genk away. Fantastic goal out in the wing, cuts inside, shoots. Very, very good goal. Jared Bowen versus Chelsea. Another fantastic goal from Jared Bowen, doing his usual, cutting inside. Lanzini against Crystal Palace. The first goal, we had a brace in that game. Beautiful team goal. Yarmolenko v Aston Villa. The quality, the pure quality, not just the occasion because of what it meant of what was going on in his life, but the way he moved those feet.
That's the goal that got my vote anyway.
Yeah, and Jared Bowen versus Leon away as well. So what? So Budgie, you went for
the Yarmolenko first. It was the way he took it. I mean, the ball came at him at pace, very heavy pace, and he just stopped the ball with his left foot. With his right foot, apologies, and instantly hit it with his left. It was almost a single motion, and I've never seen anything like that from any player anywhere in the world.
It's funny you say that because I remember watching it, and as we all were, and it was. I think you had to see it again to actually understand how clever and fast his feet worked, like to take with one foot and shoot with the other.
No, I did. I needed a replay. I weren't sure how he flicked it and turned it to the other foot and scored in sort of one motion.
You had the presence of mind to know exactly where the keeper was, exactly where the outside of the inside of the post was.
Yeah,
it was incredible finish.
But it didn't win the goal of the season. The one that did win the goal of the season was Lanzini versus Crystal Palace away. Now, I'll give you a little rendition of how the goal went. Declan Rice was running, as he usually does. He slotted a square bottle to Lanzini, who was 18 yards for goal. And there's a similarity between Lanzini's goal to Yarmolenko's in terms of he took a touch with his right foot before raising his left foot to drive, and that's what hit the ball past the net. And I remember at the time thinking, oh my God, this goal is a proper quality goal. And it was kind of bringing, for me, it was bringing Lanzini again to the forefront. He was already at the forefront. He's already came back into the West Ham hearts. But it was highlighting that this player that many people had written off.
It was kind of underlining the Tottenham goal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It kind of underlines that the ability and everything and the sheer grace of the goal. It was just incredible. It was a lovely goal, I've got to be honest, you know.
And I think the thing is, though, I mean, the goals I've mentioned, and you've mentioned there, Yarmolenko, they're all very, very good goals. But what's interesting is Lanzini's now won it for 2 seasons on the trot. I mean, no one will ever forget that Tottenham goal either the year before.
Never forget.
Nah,
You reckon if Bowen's goal had gone in against Frankfurt, that hit the other side, you reckon that might have nicked it?
The overhead kick.
Yeah.
It's so close to being brilliant.
I would have been very, very close to winning it, I would have thought,
I think if that had gone in, it would have. I also think if that had gone in, that would have changed the whole dynamics of the Frankfurt West Ham game, wouldn't it?
2 inches, that's all we needed. 2 inches to change the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Hammersbake's Terry says Lanzini, great goal, but Yarmo has my vote. The whole stadium was in tears and great instinctive finish. It was. Joan, both were brilliant goals, though. They were. They absolutely were. Next up is the. Oh, sorry, Budgie, go.
No, I was going to say, and let's not forget the Rice goal. How good that was as well. You know,
absolutely.
I mean,
especially being early rounds of the Europa League and how vital it was for us to get the points on the board,
and how inexperienced they all were in that, level of competition.
In actual fact, the funny thing is, I find that our inexperience in the competition was actually shown in the second leg and probably the first leg against Frankfurt, whereas we look more experienced the earlier rounds. Our inexperience of European football showed in that game in particular, those 2 legs. You know?
And there was obviously got to have been some fatigue, etc. as well. So
yeah, absolutely. The next one, though, was team performance. Now, this is an interesting one because a lot of fans, including myself, you always think of the more recent games. But when you look throughout the whole season and think particularly at the start of the season, some of our performances were next level. Leicester 4-1. We beat them at home.
Liverpool 3-2, Chelsea 3-2.
3-2, West Ham 2, Sevilla 0, Lyon, West Ham away 3-0 at Lyon. Beating Manchester City in the Carabao Cup, went to penalties. But what one gets it for you?
I'll tell you what, mate, as soon as you said it, the Leicester game, that stuck in my head as probably the best performance I'd seen for a long time. Absolutely stunning performance by West Ham in that game. And that's I think it even surpasses for me Liverpool and Chelsea, even though they were great results. But that to me was a great team.
It's funny though because it's back. That happened back on the 23rd of August. So it feels like such a long time ago. It's like over 50. It's like nearly 50 games ago or 45 games ago that game took place. But what was really vital about that game for me was it was the start of the season, and we as fans were worried about, will we continue the form we had last season? And that game kind of boosted that and started that and continued that. You know,
it did.
But it didn't win. It didn't win.
Similarly for me though. I mean, that would have been very high on my list, but I've said this on a couple of other streams that the night of the Lyon away game, I don't believe that there was a club team in the world that would have beaten us that night.
I think
for me, that was an incredible performance.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It was such an incredible performance to the point that I had my head in my hands on a regular occurrence because I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like,
what's happening here, mate? I was still panicking at 85 minutes.
Yeah.
You would. There you go. And it gets a team performance. Yeah. There weren't a club team in the world beating us that night. Really?
Nah, there wasn't. It's a good way of putting it. There really wasn't. Whereas you felt like, you know, against Frankfurt, every team would have beat us that night. You know, maybe I'm being a bit too harsh.
Well, probably Sam would have had a go.
Yeah, absolutely. Hammersbake's Trevor saying, I was in hospital when we beat Liverpool. I jumped up and knocked my oxygen tank over. Great win. Absolutely. Joan is saying we may have cost Liverpool the title unless we beat Man City this weekend. Absolutely. Right, next up is the Young Hammer of the Year award. Now, this award has officially changed names, and I think it's really nice what the club have done.
Yeah.
They've now officially called it the Mark Noble Young Hammer of the Year.
Nice.
So I think that's a nice gesture.
There's only one contender, isn't
there? Like
there?
you said, you know, he hopes his name lives on with the club. It always will now.
That's one way to do it.
There's
only one contender for me.
Well, before you say it, Kieran, there was 3 up for nomination. There was Ben Johnson, who won it last year, Harrison Ashby, who I do really think's got a bright future. Really do think's got a bright future at West Ham, and AG Alessi, who I can't big up enough. I can't. I think this lad's. I think next season's going to be such a big season for Alessi. I'll be shocked if we were to get rid of him, because I don't think, you know, he's 20. He's like 21 or 22, so he's reasonably old for the under 23s.
He's not young anymore, is he? He's the time of age he should be breaking through if he's going to.
Yeah, and I think this is the kind of pre-season, and depending on what we bring in, the opportunity for him. And I feel like it's, you know, he nearly had his opportunity because Zuma, Ogbonna, Dawson suspended, you know, and everyone being injured. That was nearly his opportunity, but all these players suddenly miraculously came back. You know, David Moyes playing smoke and mirrors. But over to the Mark Noble Young Hammer of the Year. I mean, Kieran, you were going to say something there, weren't you?
Yeah, I just think, because of his breakthrough into the first team and the amount of games he's played, and he's been versatile, isn't he? I don't think he's there yet, but he's a left back, he's a right back. You know, you can move him about, and he's done well.
Yeah.
Whether he's the future right back for West Ham, I have my doubts. But I think if there's anyone going to win it for the amount of performances, he's put in some good performances too. Some of his best have been on the left for me. And it has to be Adam Johnson, mate. It's the only candidate there.
Ben.
Not him. Young Ben.
No, I do. Do you know what? I agree. I do think he's got a future. I do think he's got a West Ham future. I think he's 22. He's 22, and I feel like he's getting better each year we see him. He's had 32 appearances this season, 18 in the Premier League, 8 in the Europa League. He's got 2 goals in his whole West Ham career. But you know, he's had an England under 21 call up, and you're right, Budgie. He was the one that got the award. Sorry, Kieran, Ben Johnson.
It would have been my choice as well. I mean, the pure, the quality of his rise in the first team has been incredible to watch this season. It's been brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, every time he gets, you know, listed as starting 11, I kind of get excited because I like this young, vibrant play that he does. You know, he tries so hard. You know, I really like that.
Yep, absolutely. Next up, and it's the penultimate award, was the Players' Player of the Year. Now, this to the players is probably more important than the main award. This is the one that the players see as the best player of that season. So, what do you think?
I'd definitely pick Bowen if I was a player. His progression has been fantastic too. From last year, I think he was bedding in. He was, you know, how Moyes at the beginning held him back and was using him sparingly, bringing him on. And he looks like one of them guys that's hungry to learn and get better. Everything about him. And he's bought into West Ham too. Fantastic signing, I think. And if I was a player next to him, he'd be my vote for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Budgie?
Yeah, I'll go along with everything you just said there, Kieran. You know, that was spot on, mate. You know, but you've also got to remember, just how damn good Declan Rice has been.
Yeah, but I'd reserve that award. The next award would be going to him, but I'm not going to give him both. So as a player one, players going to Bowen. And then
another great shout for it would be Craig Dawson. So
yeah,
I think I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go and say Craig Dawson got it.
Well, I'll give you the announcement. It was Jared Bowen. He did get the award. He got 16 goals so far to his name this season across all competitions. He's registered 13 assists across all competitions. That's 29 goal involvements from Jared Bowen. What a quality player. I said it the other day in one of my streams, and it's a big, bold statement, but I'm happy to make it. I feel like when Jared Bowen gets the ball, that I'm starting to. He's not there yet. I still don't think he's like even met the heights of what he can do, but he's starting to give me the vibe of what when Dimitri Payet got a hold of the ball. Like something's going to happen.
Going to happen, yeah.
Yeah, something's going to happen. Like when you think of the overhead kick and you think of him hitting the post earlier against Frankfurt, you know, you think of many of the occasions of how many. I'm talking a lot to my nephew just now, who has actually signed a contract with Kilmarnock. So, and he's signed because he scores a lot of goals. But what they're signing him for is not because he scores a lot of goals; it's because he finds himself getting chances. And if you're a player that gets yourself into position with finding chances, what they're saying is goals will come. And that's what's happened with Jared Bowen. The first season, he was finding himself get chances. He wasn't converting them as much. But this season, he's converting a lot. But what's actually interesting is he's still missing a lot.
Yeah, so, exactly. He's still hitting the post. He went from missing to hitting the post. Right? Yeah. So now he's got to get inside the goals, mate. He's a potential 15 plus.
That's all that is.
Yeah.
It's just, and Jared Bowen, not only has he been instrumental in the goals tally, but he's also, he occupies defenders because of what he can do, which opens up other areas of the pitch where we've been getting goals from. The likes of Ben Rama and Fornals and Lanzini and Rice, because Bowen does a lot more than just score goals or assist. He does a heck of a lot more. We all know.
He tracks back.
And he's a complete player. He's definitely the kind of player that David Moyes would pack up and take with him if he went somewhere. You know what I mean? Or he would want to.
Yeah. Bowen, and another reason why I said I'm not sure if young Johnson will be established right back for the next 3 or 4 years, because just this season, you notice when Soufal plays, Bowen's more involved. He's more attacking. He gets more of the ball with Soufal, where he doesn't with Johnson. Johnson's attacking play is not quite there yet. So that's probably the only thing.
Soufal also gets forward a lot more when Bowen's playing, because the transition of play is between the two of them, and they work their way up the pitch a lot more smoothly.
Yep.
I think they're more aware of what each other want from each other.
Yeah, no, they are definitely 100%. Right, on to the biggie then. You can call it for the night. West Ham's 21-22 Hammer of the Year. And I think...
Crowd.
I think everyone knows that there was 3 players in contention for this. And there was only 3 players in contention for this: Jared Bowen, Craig Dawson, and Declan Rice. And I plaudits to all 3 of them. I think particularly plaudits to Craig Dawson for even getting himself up there.
Absolutely. There should be another special award.
That was something that I called on
pound for pound. Pound for pound.
Pound for pound, the best signing ever. That should be the award.
And the final 3, that I called that about 2 or 3 weeks ago on a show. I said, it's going to be between those 3 guys. It had to be. Yeah. And
there's only one getting it. There's only one getting it in my mind. You know that. There's only one.
Well, well, we'll give it to him then. There you go. Declan Rice, he gets Hammer of the Year for the 21-22 season. He made 48 appearances for the club this season, scoring 5 goals, captaining the team on over 40 occasions. He played more minutes. He made more tackles. He made more interceptions and more passes than any other West Ham player this season. He's only 23 years old, as we know, and he's been available for all but 2 of West Ham's 54 matches in all competitions this season.
Wow.
And he has been doing what we know he can do each season. It's ridiculous, isn't it? He's unbelievable. I listened to a lot to his. I don't know if any of you have heard his chat. He actually spoke after, or he spoke at the award ceremony, and I'll give you some of the rendition of what he actually said. He said, "It's too hard to sum up the season in one word, but one word is probably proud, because we've done so well as a team this year. And that's a standard and the bar that we've set, and it has to be that every season. We've proved that we can play in big European games, and our fans in our stadium have shown we can handle those big European nights, and that's what we want more of. I'm proud of the lads because we're not the biggest of squads, so we go week in and week out again and again, training and playing Thursdays and Sundays away from home and away from families has been tough, but in the end, we've had a great year, and we're ready to go again." So, Declan Rice, what do you think?
Well, I had the pleasure of being on a show with young Jake last week, and Jimmy Quinn was also joined in, and I had the pleasure of chatting with him. And I asked him what he and some of the other ex-professionals thought of Declan Rice. And, I think the word he used was, when he spoke about Declan Rice's potential, the word he used was astronomical, or something of that nature. Even the ex-professionals have got so much admiration for him because of what he does, what he can do, what he has done, and he's just an incredible talent. We see it week in and week out, and a lot of other a lot of other fans from other fan bases, from other clubs, they don't see what we see in Declan Rice, and they're like, is he really that good? Is he really that, valuable? Is he worth that much money? And now, because we've been playing in Europe and these other fan bases have had a chance to have a look at him, they're now in agreement. They're now sort of saying, wow, what a player. It's evident for anyone to see.
You bring me back to an occasion this season. West Ham played Manchester United, Old Trafford. I was there, and I was with a group of Man United fans. And now I wasn't in the away end, and I was gutted. I took Freddie, and my friend has a box at Old Trafford, and he offered us to go to the box. I wasn't going to knock it back, as you.
Oh, lovely.
So, bit of grub, free drink. However, there's several occasions I would have probably given it up and gone to the away fans and sang with them. Anyway, I'm there and I'm listening to the fans talking, and they're constantly going on about McTominay, and I'm looking around and I'm thinking, fucking Tominay? Fucking look at Declan Rice, look what he's doing. And they're like, yeah, but 150 mil, 120 mil. And I'm like, well, I'm glad you don't want to pay 150, 120 mil, because I'll happily keep him for the rest of our lives at this club. But it drove me to try and have to prove to Man United, the guys that I knew, that why he's valued at that. And at the end of the game, the conversation kept going on about McTominay. And I was like, no, hold on a second. McTominay's lost possession probably 2 or 3 times. I can't think on any occasion in this game if Declan Rice, I don't think he has lost the ball once. He drove the team forward, and it was a luck chance goal right on the cusp of injury time. Final whistle getting blown is what Man United won that game. And because they won the game, the Man United fans have walked away going, McTominay's been the better player out of the two. And I was like, it's fucking ridiculous. And it's not rose-tinted glasses as a West Ham fan. It's actually, he is next level. He is. And he with this, side and this, what Moyes is building, if we can add that quality to the squad, you can see why we can step up. You can see it somehow. It's just whether or not we can do it.
Yeah. Do you think of Thomas Soucek as his perfect midfield partner?
No,
or
not
would you have anybody in mind that you would place next to him, Anton?
If there was any truth in these rumours about, you know, Conte wanting Souček or whoever, I would, if I could get Phillips, I would sell Souček. You know, as much as I love him, I really do. But I think if you really want a top midfield pairing, I don't think Souček and Rice. Where last season, you know, he was sitting deep, Rice, and letting Souček. That's changed this year to his detriment, Souček. And I think we found out, you know, why he didn't cost us 50, 60 million. Because on the ball, he's not that good, you know, passing wise, and he looks clumsy at times, you know. And a lot of that could be down to just playing too many bloody games. You know what I mean? I'm not going to write him off, but I think Phillips would be perfect with Rice.
It's funny you said that, Kieran. I mean, if I think about Souček, Declan Rice, Mark Noble, Alex Kroll, and I think that Moyes is looking at that position and going, who can I bring in to complement that central defensive midfield role or that central midfield role? And if you bring in, say, someone like Calvin Phillips, and you know Alex Kroll and Mark Noble have gone, then you've got Declan Rice, Tommy Souček, and say someone like Calvin Phillips. And if we're playing 50 plus games a season, you've kind of probably got 3 of the best central midfielders in the league. So I don't downgrade Souček because I think he has done a lot of under the radar stuff this season. It's not been as exciting, and I get that, and I agree with you. I do think he can be clumsy in a pass. I definitely have seen that more. He's not as clinical, and he's not technically gifted as what other players are. And I think he suits a player like Declan Rice. However, if the rumours are true about Calvin Phillips or players like Calvin Phillips, and they can come in and complement and move West Ham to that next level, I think Souček's got a place in our team somewhere. Maybe not starting 11 week in and week out, but in the squad.
It definitely makes our bench stronger.
Yeah, that's why I
keep him. You know? Yeah, and we will need to rotate more if we do get back into Europe. We really do. So yeah, it would be an asset to have him there as well. You're right. Yeah. But if it meant you had to sell him to get Phillips, I would sell him.
Yeah. My brother said an interesting thing a few days ago. He said to me, if West Ham are clever, they could probably get Kante for somewhere between 40 and 60.
I think, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think the whole situation with Chelsea, no one ever really going to know with Chelsea, really, are you? And I don't know what age Kante is either. I mean,
27, 28.
Yeah.
It's getting on a bit.
I think same age as Lingard. Would you have Lingard? Yeah, you would.
Yeah. I think it's definitely. I think Moyes is definitely looking at that area. In actual fact, I don't think there's an area that Moyes isn't looking at.
No, people are always. Shouldn't be.
Oh, that's the thing, though, because I think Moyes. A lot of people are thinking you need a left back, you need a striker. I don't doubt for a second he's looking at all. Yeah, you're looking at all these positions, because if he finds a player that can come in and can challenge the current crop, he's going to do it as long as they fit the personality test. And you know, we can talk about this in another show, but we've got loads of players coming up for free. You've got Lingard, you've got Tarkowski, you've got Coletta Carr, just to name a few of players that are potentially available for free in the summer. So it's going to make
Gareth Bale.
Yeah, Gareth Bale.
Grab hold of Coutinho, grab him down here.
Yeah, well, he's not on a free, is he?
Yep. No, he's not. But listen, I mean, lads, it's 10 to 1, not 10 to midnight. So I'm going to close the stream down.
But lads, not here, it's not, Anton.
I know it's not. But stay on though, Kieran and Budgie. Don't leave, because let's have a chat after, if you don't mind.
Yeah, great.
As well. Listen, everyone, thank you so much for watching. This has been our reaction to the player awards. Get your comments in, hit the thumbs up if you can, subscribe to the channel. If you are new around here, the man below is called Budgie. He's got his own channel. It's called Green Street Elites. Make sure you go across there, check it out. Good content. He interviews loads of West Ham fans, and it's just good fun. And you're doing I don't know what you're calling them, Budgie. You calling them match day vlogs or something? No, the vlog thing you're doing.
Budgie Uncaged.
I really like it, Budge. I really do. I really do. And I was in one as well. So I thought at that point, I think we were about
me little pre-match vlogs and stuff.
Yeah,
Really giving them a name, or just you know.
Yeah. But I remember just taking a picture with you when I met you. So it was it was nice. It was nice.
Well, there was more than one. There was about 8 or 9 of them.
But listen, stay safe, everyone. From me, Kieran, and Budgie, come on, you Irons, and fingers crossed we can go and get Europe for next season.
We're having it, Mike. We're having it. We're in Europe.
Take it easy and stay safe, everyone. Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.
It's like a family tree.